Coming up on City Spotlight, we head to Marshall for another on-location episode here in Season 8. First, we talk with the new mayor of Marshall, John Hasten. We'll learn about John's previous experiences in Marshall and also talk about new facilities in the downtown area and plans for another park in Marshall. Then we talk Marshall Schools with Marshall Schools Superintendent Kevin Ross about the current school year, the impact of COVID-19 on educating students, and a look ahead to future facility work in the Marshall School District. We're back on location in Marshall, here on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. And hello and welcome to another edition of City Spotlight. As you can see, we are on location for this episode as we continue Season 8. It's a familiar background. We are in Marshall at the City Hall Conference Room, and we are pleased to welcome first time to the program the current and new mayor of Marshall, John Hasten. John, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Glad to be taping here with John. The last time we were in Marshall on location was almost a year ago, and maybe not to the day, but it was at the beginning of 2021, so glad to be back in Marshall a year later, and glad to have John on for our first time. So John, first time on City Spotlight, can you tell our audience about yourself?
I'm a lifelong resident of Marshall. I went through all the schools here, and it's a wonderful place to live. It was a wonderful place to grow up in the 60s. And I've been in education for, oh gosh, it's over 40 years. But I taught here at Marshall for 30 years. I was the head football coach for 22.
Wow.
And ended up being assistant principal, and then I got the opportunity to be a superintendent of schools, and I've been in 3 different school districts working on that. When I finished up the last year, I was at Little Kansas, Illinois, and they are a wonderful group of people to work with too. I looked around and said, Marshall's done so much for me. What can I do for Marshall? And I think I have some ideas and experience as an administrator. So I decided to run for mayor and give 4 years of hard work for the city that has been so good to me. And here we are.
So as you mentioned there, John mentioned you've been a part of the community. You've held many hats, some pretty notable positions. I mean, the high school football coach is one position, and then being an educator on a different level. So you've seen it from those key positions in a community of this size, and you left the community. So what have those previous positions that you've held within the community, how do you think they've helped you for the current task at hand?
I think there was a book out some time ago that said everything you needed to know you learned in kindergarten. I believe that is true in many respects. But coaching football, working with a variety of players and doing a variety of things with the football program has helped me to become a better administrator, looking at people in such a way that you analyze what needs to be done, you analyze what the right thing to do is. It's not always the most expedient thing, but it is the right thing to do. And I think all the years of experience of principalship and superintendency, I've been able to develop some of those skills, and I'm able to use those skills in this position, and I think it's worked out.
Very good. You officially took office when?
May 1st.
May 1st, okay, so.
Well, I take that back. I was sworn in on May the 10th, which happened to be my birthday.
Okay, we're taping here on January 12th, 2022, so you can do the math there, a little over a year ago. So before we talk about several points of emphasis that you wanted to share with our audience, putting you on the spot here.
Sure.
You're a native of Marshall, you've held the positions that you have, and we're here sitting here talking in the beginning of 2022. What would you say the strengths of the community are?
this community is a great place to raise your kids. And when I ran for mayor, that was one of the things that I put out there, that because it has always been a great place to raise children, we want to continue making it that place. When I was a boy growing up, you could ride your bicycle all over town. You could meet your friends wherever you wanted to meet them without fear, without concern. In many locations now, there's always concern about kids playing alone. Can parents let them outside? Mm-hmm. Marshall still has that atmosphere where kids can be out, can do things, and meet together. And it's a safe place to raise your kids. And I'm very proud of that as a lifelong resident.
Okay, very good. Again, we're taping here at the beginning of January 2022, beginning of 2022. We're basically at the 2-year mark of the pandemic happening for everyone around the world. Mm-hmm. What would you say overall, and again, you've been on the job for 7, almost 8 months or so, what would you say the 2-year impact of the pandemic has been on the community?
As far as the COVID impact, I don't think we are as impacted as greatly as the larger cities are, of course.
Right.
Chicago's had a lot of shutdowns. Probably the greatest impact on us is getting supplies and getting materials into town. I mean, everyone's talking about at Christmas time there was trucking shortages and shortages in supplies. We have felt that to some extent. You can go to Walmart outside of town, or you can go to Terre Haute and look around there and see some of the empty shelves that might be there. But I think it's had a lesser impact on us. Now, not to take away from people who have been seriously ill.
Right.
And they have, some have survived, some have not. But overall, I think Marshall has weathered the storm better than some of the larger towns around here.
Okay, thank you very much for that comment. Now let's talk about some things. You gave me a list of things you'd like to talk about that the community has been working on, whether it be in 2021 and or now and moving forward. And we're going to try and get through as many of these items that John has presented me with. So John, let's talk about something important to just about any community, taking care of water stuff. So talk about the storm sewers and sanitary sewers around town.
Okay, I became mayor on May the 10th. I'd been on the city council, but it's a little different when you're in this seat.
Right.
And in that month, we had one of those storms that they call a 100-year storm.
Correct.
And it caused a lot of backup and flooding. Mm-hmm. And then the following June, we had another one.
Right.
It brought to the surface to me, now the people here in City Hall had been aware of issues about water drainage, but it really brought to the surface to me the need to make sure that the sewer lines are separate from the water storm sewers. And it hasn't always been so. We've had a project just outside here, not very far, where the overflow of the storm sewers actually went into the sanitary sewers.
Oh boy.
And that causes backups in people's homes. We have rectified that situation, but we're in the process now. One of our major emphasis is making sure that we have separated the storm sewer from the sanitary sewers to prevent that from happening again.
Very important that you were able to tackle that and make that happen, because that sounded like a pretty messy situation.
It was. Hopefully we don't have those storms again this next year. But every little project that we do that does the separation will make it better for the next generation of people.
All right, very good. I'm excited about talking about point number 2, because when we do a program like City Spotlight and we talk about this thing's going to come, or we're thinking about doing this, the downtown restrooms are complete.
They are complete. They were finished up before the Fall Festival this last September.
Good timing there.
It was a hurry-up project there going on. It was a very good addition to the downtown. We have some activities like that going on, like the Fall Festival, like some of the other things that are celebrated through town, parades and different things.
Right.
You need to have some place where people can use the restroom. My wife and I have traveled across the United States. We've been in every state in the Union. We've stopped at places, and the opportunity to have a public restroom available saves a lot of angst for visitors. And one other thing Marshall wants to do is provide good opportunity for tourism and for visitors to come to town where they're not having to search for things. We'd rather them be in store shopping if possible.
Absolutely. So
I'm not going to lay credit to this. This was started before I was mayor, but it is something that was well thought out and done very well.
So good, a good idea, and it's reality, and it had great timing to be ready for a major event. So from the downtown restrooms to another new park, another park in the community.
Jerry Forsyth is a person that's well known in our community.
Right.
He's done a lot of things for us and helped make Marshall a special place to live in.
Right.
He is in the process of providing a park on some ground that he has in the 3rd Ward. It's in the southeast part of town. And basically, the architects are going to design it. He's going to build it. And when it's complete, he's going to hand the city the key and say, there's you a park. And it'll have lots of different activities in it, different sections for different things. And the final architect plans haven't been disclosed to us yet. But we would expect to see it finished probably sometime this summer. It'll be a marvelous addition to the city, and we appreciate everything that Jerry's done. The 4-H clubhouse that I mentioned also, he's the one that remodeled the building and put it in place for all the 4-Hers in Clark County.
Wow.
It's right up here at the courthouse, on the southwest corner of the courthouse. And it's a wonderful addition for a lot of different reasons, but it's a wonderful addition to the town.
All right, so the planning of the park, so that's something maybe the next time that we have you on, maybe it's done or near completion.
Maybe we'll go down there and film from down in that area.
That sounds like a great idea. I love taping these on locations where we can go see things in person.
Yes.
All right, you wanted to also mention that the latest census said Marshall has grew a little bit.
Clark County as a whole seemed to have lost about 800 residents.
Right.
Many of the counties in southern Illinois have been that way. When I was a school superintendent, we would look at the surrounding school districts, and Marshall was holding its own while many of the other school districts were losing population.
Right.
What we've been able to do is make a good place for people to raise their kids. They can work in Terre Haute, they can work in Charleston, they can go to Paris, they can go to Robinson, but this is a great place to raise your kids. And we ended up, it wasn't a massive increase, but we did not lose. We gained about 30, 35 residents. That says something about Marshall itself. People are staying or they're coming, and what we need to do in the future as mayor, what I would like to see, we need some good housing in Marshall. Some of it needs to be low-income housing, some of it needs to be middle-income housing, but the more we can provide bedroom space for people, the more people we'll have as good, solid citizens here in town.
All right, very good. You tied those last couple of points about the community growing a little bit and the need for more housing. So my final question for you, John, appreciate your first time here on City Spotlight. I asked the last couple of mayors that I interviewed at the end of last year, we're in the new year. What does the new year mean to you?
We haven't, and I mentioned it here, we have an ongoing process that we are looking at all of our city ordinances. As a superintendent of schools, every school district has a policy and procedure handbook.
Right.
It has to be revised based on new state laws. Some of the ordinances here in Marshall haven't been looked at for 10 or 12 years. We're going through every of what we call the chapter ordinances that we live by. Mm-hmm. We're going through each one, taking a look at it, saying, is this what we do? If it's not, should we be doing it differently, or should the ordinance reflect what we have evolved to make the city run better? And so ultimately, everything that we look at is what makes the city better, what will be good for the people of the city of Marshall, and are we doing the right thing? And so long as we can go home at night and look in the mirror and say, we're doing the right thing, we're going to make the ordinances reflect that.
Well, we have been pleased to have on City Spotlight for the first time the new mayor of Marshall, John Hasten. John, we appreciate your time, and we look forward to many more times having you on City Spotlight.
Come on down. We'll take a look at the park when it's done.
Sounds like a plan. Love it. Thank you very much. And coming up next here on City Spotlight, we're going to get caught up in the latest going on with Marshall Schools with Superintendent Kevin Ross. But first, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in Marshall. And we're back here on City Spotlight, this new on-location episode on Marshall. We continue taping here in the conference room of City Hall, and we welcome back to the program the Superintendent of Marshall Schools, Kevin Ross. Kevin, great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Great to have Kevin on. Welcome back, because we had Kevin on about a year ago at the start of 2021, so a year later, great to have Kevin back on to talk about the school year to this point. So talk about the current school year to now when we're taping here in January of 2022.
Well, I think back to last year at this time, middle of the pandemic, and we're still in the middle of the pandemic. And I think back to last year, and schools were, we were carrying on. We were in person every day through the first semester, and we were waiting on the hope that we could get some activities, athletics, concerts, and those things going for students. And about February, all of that hit, and compressed into a 3-4 month span. We did football, volleyball, basketball. We did almost all of it between February and the end of June, and that's where we were sitting last year. And now a year later, this 21-22 school year's been something completely different. We've had activities going along the whole time. We've been in person like we were last year, but of course, faced that spike there August, September in numbers, and battled through that. We actually got all the way down to having 0 cases in the buildings there. Late September, early October, and then after Thanksgiving we came back and they went back up, and now we're facing something completely different with whatever's going on, coming back off of Christmas, and just a spike in numbers like we haven't seen. So it's been a grind, it's been a battle, but we're really happy that we've been able to keep the doors open for our kids throughout this thing, keep as many of them there on a daily basis safely as possible, and we're going to keep trying to do that.
I'm thinking you're an educator, but I feel like maybe your hat is you have an additional side hat of kind of almost being a partial health expert too, with having to manage all that's going around you. Yeah,
I'd have to say I never thought in my career that we'd be running a testing clinic the way we are for COVID, and we are a CLIA site, and we test for COVID, for symptomatic, for test to stay, for surveillance on a daily basis. Our nurses have done great, and just to try and keep it safe for kids, keep parents feeling like we're doing what we can to help the situation out, and we identify positives, and they would go home and be out of the population, which hopefully keeps it safe. But then also we're trying to identify negatives and keep kids at school, which has been the goal all along. So it's been quite different for last year and a half for all of us, but our staff are overall. Teachers, bus drivers, custodians, cooks, nursing staff, community. We're all trying to work together and keep this thing afloat, because it's what's best for kids. It's what's best for the adults. It's what's best for the community. So that's what we're trying to do.
Those protocols that you instituted for last school year, I'm sure they're still in place. Have you had to do little tweaks here and there?
Yeah, we're adjusting on the fly throughout. Of course, more students inside our walls this year than last. We still had anywhere from 200 down to about 50 at the end last year that were on remote, with most of them back this year. So students sit a little tighter at school. We're still masking throughout the day. Quarantining's quite different to where really most of the quarantines are student, and then any siblings from that household. because last year we've proven over and over again that schools are one of the safest places to be, and then we adjust throughout. We still have not had to have a shutdown, knock on wood. Right now, numbers are higher than they have been with positives.
Right.
We're still 100% recovery of our kids and staff, and we're thankful for that. As long as we can keep it staffed and keep things safe, we're going to try and keep the doors open and don't see the need for a pause or definitely no long shutdown like we had that March of 2020.
Right, absolutely. As we tape here on January 12th, 2022, as Kevin alluded and everyone is aware, the COVID numbers have ramped up again. You're the first educator that I've talked to post-holiday break. So your thoughts as an educator, superintendent of the school district, your thoughts of coming back from the holiday break with regards to where the pandemic is right now?
We always hope that at some point this cools off, becomes somewhat more normal for us. But as I shared with the staff, we were hopeful that this school year would be more normal, and it has been anything but that. We hope to come into the new year that things will be calmed down. But there was reading, paying attention to the news, paying attention to what's going on in the world. We anticipated what is happening right now, and we're hopeful that this is short-lived, and then hopefully numbers will go back down, and we get outside in the spring and things can be calm for a few months here. Students, parents, community, we're looking for a day where we're talking about school, talking about activities, talking about education, reading, math, all of those things, rather than 90% of what we talk about is how are we going to get through the pandemic. And we're trying to keep our doors open because it's best for our kids to be in school, best for them to be able to interact with each other, best for them to learn in person, and best for them to have access to those activities that are really keep them going, keeping them interested. So we're just doing everything we can to keep things going in that direction.
So you have the second half, the rest of the school year in front of you as we tape again here in January of 2022. The overall mindset, to try and complete this school year.
Mindset right now, daily basis. We're doing what we have to do and need to do to try and keep things under control with COVID. And again, right now that's a grind, and every day's a little bit different. We do know that we were open all of last year. We had most of our students in person. We've been open all of this year. We're definitely seeing things on the learning front with students that have missed, students that had to be remote, students had to be quarantined, where we're trying to fill in gaps. But overall, that learning loss for us, because of having been open, is not as drastic as it could have been, so we're thankful for that. We're very cognizant of the social emotional needs of our students, our staff, our parents, our community on this, because this is not easy, and we're all living through this together and living through it in different ways. So very cognizant of that, and just fighting those battles and trying to make things as good for all involved as we can. But really trying to focus on learning. I got out yesterday and walked through each building. So I'll do once a week, try and get out into each one and take a walk through. And kids that are here are glad to be here. Teachers that are here are glad to be here. There is a lot of good going on inside those walls, and that's positive. So that's the mindset. We're just trying to get that focus on learning, kids growing, kids being healthy, being social emotional health, and going in a positive direction, and trying to get off of zero here, talking about COVID all the time.
Absolutely. The mental health, this is not a health program, but plenty of health programs out there, and the focus of the mental health is very much a major concern for this as we move forward. It's been very stressful for a lot of us.
Absolutely.
All right, so when we talked with you, Kevin, for the first time a year ago, we got an overview of the school district, talked about your buildings. Any tweaks or physical changes to your buildings since we last talked?
Not since we last talked. Major updates coming this summer, though, at our high school campus. On the COVID front, we have opportunity and have been looking for opportunity to upgrade our HVAC systems in that high school.
Wow.
Timely in that we still have radiator heat and window air conditioners in many of the rooms at the high school. So there's an opportunity there to improve our ventilation systems, improve our HVAC systems there. So that'll be going on this summer. And this is, 100 years in the making. McNary Gym will be air conditioned this summer. So all that have ever sat through one of our graduations will be grateful. So big news coming there, and big project coming up. So that's going to be a major overhaul where physically just looking at it, not much is going to change, but the feel and in McNary, and then that air quality in that building is going to improve tremendously. So we're excited.
You said it perfectly, long overdue, and people will certainly welcome that nice change. So best of luck on that, and we'll obviously follow up the next time we talk with you to see if that worked out and people were able to start enjoying that. As we wrap up, Kevin, again, everyone, students, staff, working through these interesting times. What can you say about the efforts of everyone to make this work?
I can't say enough about our staff, our kids, and our community, and how everybody's pulled together on this to try and get through and work through. And we're definitely not out of it yet. Just hoping there's some glimmer of light here. Trying to get to spring, trying to get through another school year, and then there's just a hope that things become more normal. I know always that talk about new normal. It's never going to be like it was before, but just more normal for kids makes everything go better for the whole community. Yeah,
we'd like to see COVID and the words new normal behind us. Hopefully the next time that you and I talk.
Hopefully, yes. Next year, if we're talking at this time, hopefully the world has improved drastically.
We thank the time of Kevin Ross, Superintendent of Marshall Schools. We appreciate your time coming back on City Spotlight. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And have a great rest of the school year. And that'll do it for this latest City Spotlight episode on Marshall. We've been on location. Thanks for watching. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.